The war was lost. For 3 cycles, the Xylos Federation had been pushed back, system by system, by the Vorlag horde. Our fleets, once the pride of the quadrant, were now shattered remnants. Our soldiers, brave and noble, were no match for the horde's sheer, unthinking brutality. We fought with honor, with strategy. They fought with teeth and claws and an insatiable hunger for conquest. On the capital world of Xylos Prime, we prepared for our final stand. The planetary shields were failing, and the sky burned with the fire of descending Vorlag ships. Despair was a cold blanket over our city. Our Grand Council had sent out 1,000 distress calls across the Spyro arm, a final, desperate plea to anyone who could hear. Most went unanswered. A few replies trickled in, offering condolences, but no aid. No one dared to face the Vorlag. Then, a single, encrypted message pierced the static. It was from an uncharted sector, from a species we had never encountered. They called themselves humans. The message was simple: we are coming. We had no idea what to expect. Perhaps a small, advanced flotilla, a team of elite diplomats. We didn't have time to wonder. The Vorlag landing craft breached the atmosphere, and the ground began to shake. Our last lines of defense buckled under the first wave. The aliens swarmed our streets, their guttural roars echoing through the canyons of our crystal cities. We watched from the command citadel, our hearts heavy with the inevitable. The end had come. That's when they arrived. Not with the Grand Fleet, but with a handful of stark, angular ships that seemed to tear a hole in space-time itself. They were ugly, brutalist things, of dark gray metal, scarred and pitted from 1,000 battles we couldn't imagine. They didn't bother with orbital maneuvers. They just plummeted through the atmosphere like vengeful gods. Their entry burned a scream of defiance. From these ships came the humans. They were bipedal, smaller than we expected, and encased in primitive-looking powered armor that hissed and clicked. They carried projectile weapons, relics by our standards. We thought, for a fleeting moment, that this was a cruel joke. Then they engaged the Vorlag. It was not a battle. It was a harvest. Where our plasma rifles had struggled to pierce Vorlag carapaces, the human weapons tore through them with terrifying ease. Explosions of gore and shrapnel erupted in the horde's ranks. The humans moved with a speed and ferocity that defied their bulky appearance. They didn't hold lines. They created kill zones. They communicated in short, harsh barks, coordinating their fire with an efficiency that was both beautiful and horrifying. They used explosives with reckless abandon, turning entire city blocks into infernos to halt the enemy's advance. We watched, stunned into silence, as a single human soldier, cornered by a dozen Vorlag warriors, dropped their rifle, pulled out what looked like a simple blade, and charged. They moved like a whirlwind of death, dodging, parrying, and slicing. Limbs and heads were severed in a crimson spray. This wasn't the honorable combat of our sagas. This was a visceral, personal, and shockingly effective form of butchery. They fought not just to win, but to annihilate. We saw them get injured. When human's arm was torn off by a Vorlag brute, without screaming, without flinching, the soldiers simply cauterized the wound with a plasma torch from their pack, picked up their weapon with their remaining hand, and continued firing into the enemy horde. They did not retreat. They did not surrender. They just adapted and killed. Their pain seemed only to fuel their rage. In less than a day, the Vorlag invasion of Xylos Prime was broken. The surviving aliens fled back to their ships, pursued by the relentless humans who hunted them down without mercy. The sky, once choked with enemy ships, was now clear, save for the grim, silent patrol of the human vessels. Their commander finally hailed us. His face appeared on our main screen, scarred and weary. There was no triumph in his eyes, only a profound, chilling emptiness. He didn't ask for thanks or rewards. His message was brief. The sector is secure. Let us know where the rest of them are. We have work to do. We had called for saviors and received something else entirely. We had summoned the ghosts of some ancient, forgotten war, a species forged in a crucible of unimaginable violence. They were not heroes. They were monsters. But they were our monsters. And for the first time in a long time, the galaxy seemed a little less frightening. Because the most terrifying thing in it was now on our side. The war wasn't over, but the tide had turned. Brought in on a river of blood by these strange, terrifying apes from a world called Earth.